You're stepping in, Sensei. Your little cinematic universe is about to change forever.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Marvel just announced the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer just broke all of their records for number of views in the first 24 hours. I think it did more than like 325 million just in the first day that they posted it, showing that Deadpool is truly saving the MCU one quip at a time.
I'm the Messiah. I am Marvel Jesus.
And just like he says during the trailer, calling himself the Messiah, Marvel Jesus is here, come to change the Marvel Cinematic Universe, literally calling out the MCU breaking the fourth wall because it is Deadpool. Revealing that Marvel is also using the Deadpool character to start the process of them soft rebooting the MCU in real life as we head into Avengers Secret Wars, which they also reference at the end of the trailer. So we'll break it all down. I know there's a lot of questions about how this reboot is going to look just in general, like what's going to change, who are they going to recast, what are they going to change about previous Marvel movies, if anything, and why Marvel in real life decided it needed to pull this kind of soft reboot on the movies and what their plan is for how it all just generally goes down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. It's just the beginning, like the Deadpool and Wolverine marketing campaign just started. It's going to be crazy and unhinged, just like you would expect it to be. Deadpool saving the MCU by burning everything to the ground. So during the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer, he basically breaks the fourth wall, telling us that now that he's here at the TVA, who has control and access over the entire multiverse, he views himself as Marvel Jesus, and Deadpool basically vows to reboot the MCU using the power the TVA is giving him access to. Notice that when Matthew Macfadyen's Paradox character is showing him the main MCU universe on the screens, that's what's happening here. He's showing him what used to be known as the Sacred Timeline before the events of Loki Season 1. He even salutes, like Deadpool salutes, Captain America. When we talk about the main MCU 616 universe, that's meant to be the original Sacred Timeline. What happened after Loki, though, is what used to be known as that Sacred Timeline basically just meant everything through all the Marvel movies during the Infinity Saga, which is basically Iron Man 1 to the events of Spider-Man Far From Home, like the end of Marvel Phase 3. Then the events of Loki Season 2 basically revealed that Loki had been trapped in a loop of sorts, like a time loop controlled by He Who Remains version of Kang, who was just waiting for Loki to unlock his God of Stories powers where he could control the flow of time without any technology. So the first really big change to the original Sacred Timeline, like the traditional MCU, happened at the end of Loki Season 2 when he became God Loki and just reshaped the multiverse into the World Tree. But here's the thing, he didn't really change anything that happened inside the MCU itself, like he didn't re-edit all the events of the previous Marvel movies. There was a minor change to the He Who Remains version of Kang, but he was in an alternate timeline of the MCU, like he wasn't in the actual MCU. The only real difference to the main MCU is that Loki just organized everything from a higher dimension, and the MCU universe was part of that reorganization, which he's still doing right now. He's kind of like the custodian of the multiverse, keeping things relatively stable. In the background of the TVA, when Deadpool is going on his tour from Paradox here, you can actually see a mural depicting Loki's World Tree version of the multiverse, revealing that this does take place after the events of Loki Season 2. So this is meant to be the same TVA that we saw at the end of Loki Season 2, just a little bit of time has gone by. And now in present day, what Deadpool is talking about doing is totally messing with the main MCU timeline, like he is specifically talking about changing the events of the Marvel movies, which would basically amount to a soft reboot where events in the previous Marvel movies changed, some big changes, some smaller changes. And wisely, I think Marvel saw that heading towards the end of Marvel Phase 6 now, post-Avengers Endgame, there were so many characters like the X-Men, Fantastic Four, other Fox Marvel characters that they regained the rights to, but there was all this pre-existing stuff from the previous X-Men movies, Fantastic Four, all the Fox Marvel movies. And on top of that, the main MCU itself has started to get so top-heavy with continuity that it's become harder and harder for them to onboard brand new fans who have never seen any Marvel movies before. Like, do I have to watch 23, 25 Marvel movies before I watch this next one that comes? And Kevin Feige wants to be able to make new, better movies using all the new toys in his toy bin, to use that classic Secret Wars toy commercial from the 1980s version. This was a real commercial. You could probably still buy all these toys on eBay now. Add to that casual fans starting to get a little fatigued with the concept of the multiverse and many different versions of characters all running around on screen at the same time. They want to simplify things. And some of their most important characters, like T'Challa Black Panther, were played by actors who have passed away in real life, and Marvel wants to be able to use them again. So they need to recast some of the actors, and the simplest way to clean their mess of continuity on the other side of things between the reintroduction of all the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, all these new versions of MCU characters we've already seen, is for them to just pull a soft reboot and play it off like it's part of the story of the upcoming Avengers movies. This would be like the opposite tactic that Sony took when it rebooted Spider-Man with the Andrew Garfield version after Tobey Maguire, and then they did it again with the Tom Holland version. This time, there's so many changes that they want to be able to make going forward that it just makes more sense for them, and it's more enjoyable to write it into the story itself through the Deadpool character. Like, see what happens, see what Deadpool is doing. Once it's all done and the Avengers fix everything, they'll fix the multiverse in a way that changes the MCU. Like, oh wow, you fixed everything, but it kind of looks a little bit different. So while that's going down during Avengers Secret Wars, Kevin Feige makes any edits, changes that he needs to, and the new MCU going forward, starting with Marvel Phase 7, will start to resemble the true 616 universe of the comics, which in the Marvel comics is traditionally known as the main universe, where all the different types of characters from all the different comic books have always existed on the same planet together. It explains how the Avengers know the X-Men so well, all the relationships between those different characters, how Wolverine has been on so many Avengers teams, how Spider-Man and Wolverine know each other, why Doctor Doom is also an Avengers villain in addition to being a Fantastic Four villain. Where there's so many mutants all over the planet, and it's not like we're just meeting a couple of them now, as we have in the last couple Marvel movies. And because the entire endeavor just sounds really top-heavy, kind of ridiculous, trying to explain how it's all going to work to a casual fan, they're wisely using the Deadpool character to call out the reboot on screen so that they can hang a lamp on what they're actually doing and make fun of themselves for just rebooting things in general, while also actually rebooting things. Like, but we're actually going to be doing this for a really important functional reason behind the scenes. Generally just making all this craziness the next couple of years go down a little bit easier for fans who know what's really going on. Make it all make sense on a story level, but because Deadpool breaks the fourth wall, they can call themselves out for it, so they can acknowledge how bonkers crazy everything has gotten and how now it needs to be fixed. And on top of that, like Marvel making fun of itself, they're also using Deadpool's talk about a reboot to clown on the fact that they're fixing the MCU, which is a reference to the quality control issues they've had the last couple of years during the pandemic. I call the last couple of years Marvel's pandemic era of movies and shows. You could point the finger in a bunch of different directions at a bunch of different people for why some movies and shows just did not pan out the way that they were supposed to. Marvel did have a couple high spots during the last couple of years, but generally it's been hit or miss. Not just with the MCU Marvel stuff, but also with Sony Marvel movies too. Like, I just posted my Madam Web review, and that movie is rough. Like, it is definitely Morbin time over at Sony again. But because Marvel still has several years before Secret Wars actually comes out in theaters, like, it's going to be a long time. They're still supposed to be releasing Avengers 5 Kang Dynasty. It's still on their official schedule here. Secret Wars originally was going to be Avengers 6 and wasn't going to happen until at least a year after Avengers 5. Now it seems like there might be an even bigger delay. The way this is all going to actually play out on screen is that Deadpool is just the beginning of the end of the MCU as you know it. Like, he's calling it out, like, we're starting to do this soft reboot, but it's going to take a long time for it to actually fully play out on screen. That's why at the end of the trailer, he's basically saying that what he's doing here, like his little reboot, like this messing with the MCU, is actually setting up Avengers Secret Wars with that Doctor Doom comic book from real life Marvel Comics. Like, that's a real life comic you could actually go out and buy right now. A lot of you also picked up on this too. The fact that Wolverine is also attacking him in that scene, like Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, means that he'll also be part of this Avengers Secret Wars. But I think everybody expected Hugh Jackman to come back for Secret Wars because it's such a big Avengers-level multiverse movie. Sort of like a version of Avengers Endgame, but including all those classic Fox Marvel characters from the X-Men movies, the Fantastic Four movies, other Fox Marvel characters. Behind the scenes, what's actually going to happen, though, is that Marvel is still trying to deal with the fallout from Jonathan Majors, the recasting of the Kang character, what's going to happen to the Council of Kangs, and how Avengers 5 goes down. Like, that needs to happen first before we actually have Secret Wars. I did a video a while ago because there was talk at Marvel last year at their big story retreat where they go to decide the future of all the Marvel movies and talk about which characters they're going to use, which stories they're going to adapt. That happened right after Ant-Man the Wasp: Quantumania came out early last year. Whether you choose to believe it or not, after Quantumania, they felt like audiences just were not down with the Kang character. I think mostly you could actually blame just the execution of Kang during that movie, like he probably should not have died at the end of that film. Apparently, the takeaway that Marvel came away from that with was that they needed to beeline away from the Kang character as much as possible. Supposedly, this was before Jonathan Majors ran into all of his legal troubles, which didn't happen until a little bit later in last year. Then all of his legal problems happened, and that just kind of compounded the issue behind the scenes at Marvel. Like, how are we going to put a bow tie on this giant Council of Kangs storyline coming for the Avengers that we set up? So what it seems like is happening right now is that Deadpool is basically saying at the end of his trailer that he's skipping straight to the events of Avengers Secret Wars. Like, we'll see Deadpool again during Avengers Secret Wars. He won't be a huge character, along with Wolverine not being a huge character during Avengers 5. They'll save them mostly for Avengers 6. It sounds like Marvel's still going to do Avengers 5 as Kang Dynasty. They're just going to recast the Kang character, and the Avengers will face the Council of Kangs. What I'm hoping, though, is they actually pull a Naruto with the Council of Kangs, where basically you have this group of villains that you can't really get rid of because they're so powerful, and the only way to deal with that is to have an even more powerful villain come in, kill them, and then make him the main villain of Avengers Secret Wars. It's funny how a lot of the really big movies now are cribbing from anime, and they had this exact same problem in that anime, even if you didn't watch it. Basically the same situation where they had a villain that was super powerful that they had trouble with just on a writing level, so they just dealt with it by having an even more powerful villain come along and kill them. And basically, it sounds like Avengers 5 is just going to be the main MCU new Avengers team, whoever winds up being on that actual team, versus this Council of Kangs. They wrap that storyline up, RIP to the Council of Kangs. Then, heading into Secret Wars, this new villain that comes along at the end of that movie will be the main villain. And Avengers 6 generally plays out like a much bigger version of what we're going to see during Deadpool 3, sort of like a No Way Home for all the classic actors, like all the really big X-Men, Fantastic Four actors coming back, forming a multiverse Avengers team, and they do like an even bigger multiverse version of Avengers Endgame. Like, imagine the Portal scene, but like every single Marvel character that has ever existed ever. Just on a story level, expect there to be a lot of changes from the original two different versions of Secret Wars, like the 1980s version and the more modern version of the story. Some of the events will loosely borrow from the comics, but Marvel always makes big changes. Best example of that is Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, based on the original Thanos Infinity Gauntlet comic book. There were a lot of changes that they made to that original story, but it still wound up being two really solid movies. So probably one of the biggest things I'm looking forward to in the next several years of Marvel as we head into Secret Wars is seeing how Kevin Feige essentially works himself out of this corner that they worked themselves into, like in real life, how things have happened with their quality control issues, but also how they're going to fix things on a story level. And personally, I would have chosen Deadpool to be the character to sort of explain how they're going to fix everything long term. It just makes so much sense. Like, you can also call yourself out for having to fix everything. Like, well, first off, we have to fix things, but also we're going to let people know that we are fixing things. And because it's kind of ridiculous that this all needs to happen in the way that that plays out, you have the most ridiculous character of all do it himself. But everybody let me know in the comments if Deadpool, Marvel Jesus as he calls himself, is going to fix everything, quote unquote, or start the process of Marvel soft rebooting and fixing everything. How do you actually want that to go down? And what do you want things to look like going forward after they're done with it? We're into Marvel Phase 7 now, like after Secret Wars. I've personally been calling it the Mutant Saga. Like the next 3 phases of Marvel, like whatever that winds up being, you just focus more on the brand new characters. Just being one of the easy, logical ways to onboard a lot of new fans, you start with fresh new characters that you haven't seen in a way in a long time. Because even though it seems like it hasn't been that long since X-Men Dark Phoenix came out, like the last big Fox Marvel movie, by the time we finish Secret Wars and we start the first movies after that, it will have been a very long time. That's how many delays there have been the last couple of years. Are you not ready for something fresh and new from Marvel? It is about time, and Deadpool himself in the trailer is specifically calling that out. He's here to fix everything by burning everything to the ground. There's a bunch of big stuff coming up. We're still finding new details and Easter eggs in the background of the Deadpool 3 trailer, so if there's anything that you spotted that I haven't talked about in my previous videos, just write it below in the comments, and I'll try to finish all my big Super Bowl trailer videos in the next couple of days. There's a bunch of really big stuff coming up too. We should get an X-Men 97 trailer in the next couple of weeks. And literally, as I was finishing this video, Marvel just announced the official Fantastic Four movie cast, confirming a lot of our theories, so that will be my next video later tonight. That should be out in the next couple of hours, so make sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss that. Click here for that new Fantastic Four video. I'll update the link as soon as I post that, and click here for all my Deadpool and Wolverine trailer videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.